The Mandalorian Season One has officially ended as of 3 days ago, and we'll be talking about the entire season. So, if you haven't seen it, spoiler warning, so go see them prior to watching this video. I'll go through each episode, talk about what I liked, what I didn't, give it a rating, and then I'll talk a bit overall. Alright, Episode 1 The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian did a great job at introducing us to, well, the Mandalorian. We immediately knew that not many people are going to mess with him, but we also got the first taste of his true character. He gave the bounty target the choice to live. This was the first glimpse at how caring Din Djarin can be. At this point, I was still getting used to the feel of the show. I still thought the cinematography at the time felt slightly, and I wouldn't say unprofessional, but I would say different enough to feel a little unsettling. The action fight at the beginning was awesome, of course. Then we got the fight with the water monster, and then we got another glimpse at how tough Mando really was. The bounty target tried to get the upper hand on Mando, and he just got a face full of carbonite, just like that. At that point, I was like, "Whoa, whoa, this guy's kind of badass." Then we met Grief, and Mando was sent on the real mission that carved the path to the internet's favorite, Green Little Baby. We got the Emps and what looked like the main villain of the season, but obviously it didn't turn out that way. We got to see more of Mando's sick gadgets, but the next scene was when I realized this show wasn't going to be like anything we'd seen before. The interaction and introduction of the underground Mandalorian Creed. I was like, oh yeah, we're getting deep into the Mandalorian history in the show. Pretty neat. We got to meet Quail. Quail. May rest in peace, my friend. I liked Quail from the start. He was wise, and I liked that he'd be a mentor, a bit of a mentor to Mando. Then IG-11 stole the show as he started kicking some ass. It was wow after wow after wow. I was loving the fight scene there at the end. Prior to watching this, someone at school told me that I should watch out because the ending was trending on Twitter. I thought to myself, well, we're at the end here. What's it gonna be? Mando opened the cage, and what was staring back at me was Baby Yoda, and I was like, what? And then Mando shot IG-11, and I was like, damn, he cares. Okay, that's nice. Great ending. You can say that we couldn't see Pedro Pascal's facial gestures, but I knew the Mandalorian just based off of Pascal's tone and body language, only at like a very early stage. That's what I call great acting. The pilot was a great introduction to our characters with a unique story path, great acting, great action, and a fantastic cliffhanger. I'd give it a 3.7 out of 5 as a rating. Episode 2 The Child. Now, I know that a lot of people love this episode, but to me, it was kind of the poorest episode in the season. No, it wasn't. Okay, it was the poorest episode in the season. The first half of the episode was just Mando and Baby Yoda walking around doing pretty much nothing. The Jawa moments were nice, a nice tidbit, which is something that the show does well. Nice little tidbits with familiar characters, but nothing we've really seen before. Then the Mudhorn part was really the finishing blow on the fact that the episode took 33 minutes to show one thing: the child had force. Yeah, it was the beginning of the theories and the wonder and the awe, but it really just was kind of pointless, unfortunately. They could have done away with the first half of the episode and done something a bit more exciting. 1.5 out of 5 for this episode. Episode 3 The Sin. I thought this was one of the better episodes at this point in the series, in my opinion, has stuck. We got more Baby Yoda cuteness, awesome action, character development, revelations, and more. The episode kicked off with Mando bringing the child back to the Emps, and we saw the child looking back at Mando, and that was a killer moment. I was like, no! There our bond with Baby Yoda grew because we didn't want anything to happen to him. Anyways, we were introduced to a bit of a Jaren's past. I always love a good flashback because it adds character depth, it adds a sense of vulnerability to our main character, making him real, and we have a sense of compassion for him. Good stuff there. We were introduced to Beskar and the more Mandalorians down the sewers. Mando got the brand new slick armor, which was freaking awesome. The middle part of the episode was more jaw-dropping action as Mando stormed through the Emps Keep and took the child back. Love the action in the show, but the ending has just as big as a role in this episode. The fight between the Mando and the Guild was great, but when the rest of the Mando showed up, I was like, yep, that's Star Wars. That was the moment I was officially settled with the show. Great episode, 4.2 out of 5. Episode 4, Sanctuary. Now, this was also a really great episode for several reasons. The episode introduced several elements that would go on to be very important going forward. It was also the episode in which I realized something really cool about the series. In this episode, we were introduced to Cara Dune, an ex-rebel shock trooper, and when she said that, I was like, yes! I'm a huge fan of looking back on different eras from future eras, like the OT back to the prequels, and in this case, the sequels back to the OT. At first, I wasn't a fan of Gina Carano's acting, but I can say it's grown on me. She's a tough fighter with a reason to fight. That's about as rebel as you could possibly think of, and that is cool in my book. Mando was tasked with protecting the small village from raiders. It was the village that he met a woman within. This meeting revealed the sad truth that some people in the galaxy are just burdened and can't really settle down with love. Jaren also took his helmet off in this episode, and we got the teases of the helmet removal throughout the episode. I was like, yep, this is definitely happening at some point soon. And that's a great feeling. We also were introduced to the fact that Baby Yoda couldn't settle anywhere because the guild would continue to try and find him. So we knew we'd see more of him this season. The fight between the ATST and the Raiders against Mando, Cara, and the villagers was awesome. Particularly this shot was just such a great shot. This episode showed the strategic strength of Cara and Mando teaming up, and was an overall great episode. It was an episode where I realized something special about The Mandalorian. Not every episode was going to have this huge overarching purpose. It was just really cool Star Wars tidbits. I can't say that will be the same for the next season given its plot, but that fact is something I love about this first season. A 4 out of 5 for this episode. Episode 5, The Gunslinger. I know a lot of people didn't like this episode because of Jake Cannavale's character, and I understand he was probably one of the most annoying characters on the show, but I didn't really hate him that much. The episode brought back a familiar place, which was awesome to see. We got the cantina in the same place where Han killed Greedo. Great Easter egg. I always love great Easter eggs. A great bike sequence, and this was the episode where I continued to realize the truth I had learned in the last episode. And it was really fun. It was just a fun time. I felt like I was just watching cool Star Wars stuff. We also got more of the familiar faces in a new way, things similar to the episode 2 with the Tusken Raiders, which was hilarious. I also loved how smart Mando was. He knew everything they had to look out for. I'd say the ending was pretty good, Mando just getting business done. He may not have been prepared for everything, but he still got it done. It was a really laxed and fun episode to me, and there was also a Boba Fett reference, which I love. 4 out of 5. Episode 6, The Prisoner. Now this was a fantastic episode. It was a little weird, but it was still really great. A ton of Easter eggs ranging from Gungans to Ardinians and more. And I'm a real sucker for those Easter eggs, like I was saying. It was a look into the Mandalorian's past, and all the crew was so much fun. A Devilronian and the two Twi'leks were just wild and really fun and enjoyable to watch. The costume design was fantastic, and the whole stuck in the prison atmosphere is really enjoyable, sort of like a murder maze scenario where they're all stuck in there and they have to deal with their problems. Mando once again showed his capability to get out of tough situations. More badass fighting. There was also some nice twists, such as the fact that Den didn't kill them but left them in the prison to rot with their failure. And the ending, whoo! The ending, oh, he got him good. He got him good. 4.7 out of 5. Episode 7, The Reckoning. This was the whole team up episode, and a good one for sure. I think a lot of people really enjoyed this episode, and I liked it, but it felt a little overrated to me. Don't get me wrong, though. Great episode. The first big whoa moment of the episode was when Baby Yoda used the Force to force choke Cara. What's really funny is that I made a joke that Baby Yoda was a Sith Lord and is a Sith Lord in school the day before I watched the episode. And the Force choke moment was funny for me, but also very intriguing. The dragons were an interesting bit. We've seen dragons before, like in Resistance, but it was very unexpected. Then the baby pulls out the Force heal, and bruh, I was like, there's so much more to this guy than we think. Then we get the introduction between Herzog, Grief, and Mando, and then Herzog got the bad end of the stick, unfortunately. Then Gideon showed up, and the real business interaction began. This guy immediately scared me. I was like, shit, this guy means business. He was the first guy who really put Mando and Cara in a bad spot. Also, the appearance of Death Troopers was pretty cool. And then Gideon just drops he's just like, yeah, the child has a bigger purpose. And I'm like, whoa, what? No answer. Nonetheless, great episode with a lot of whoa moments. 3.8 out of 5 for me. Episode 8, Redemption. Lo and behold, this was clearly the best episode of the season, and by a landslide. This episode was everything I could have possibly wanted. The episode started with two scout troopers having a hilarious talk about Baby Yoda, and at first I was like really worried because, as I said in my Rise of Skywalker video, the latest one, Disney has been overusing comedy lately, but no, this time it was perfect. And IG-11 showed up and proved why I love him so much. He was just going through the whole town, messing troopers up. He allowed Mando and co. to make a last attempt, but before that, Gideon drops another bomb on us when he reveals Den Djarin is Mando's name. We got the complete flashback, and Death Watch shows up, which is a nice, Rebel Clone War tease, and also gripping. Gideon then talks to Kara about Alderaan, which was a nice word to hear again, and Mando's injured badly in another great action sequence, and Gideon sends in a flame trooper to dissolve the heroes, but not on Baby Yoda's watch. He uses the Force to get rid of the trooper, and then Kara, Greef, and the child retreat into the sewers to find the Mandalorian hideout. What happens next is easily in the top 3 moments on the show. Mando is forced to take off his helmet so that IG-11 can save him. It's a beautiful moment of vulnerability and bonding between Mando and a droid that might be the thing he least trusts at the current moment. You can tell that it counted because of the ending, but we'll get to that in a minute. The heroes reach the Mandalorian hideout to find the Empire killed what seemed like all of the Mandos. I don't think I'm the only one who thought that Den was going to lift the helmet of the Queen or the leader, but turns out she survived. And then she just messed up a bunch of troopers later in the episode. She was pretty great in this episode because she also just dropped a bunch of knowledge. She kind of teased season 2, which will be about taking child Yoda back to the home planet, to Yoda's planet. And she gives them the Mudhorde signet, and it's like, you're a clan of 2. I love that. It was adorable. We also got the Jedi name drop, which was fun, and then we got the astromech with arms and legs. I literally screamed out, I love Star Wars at that moment, because, only Star Wars can give you that. What? IG-11 decided to sacrifice himself, and you could tell how much that Mando cared at that moment. He changed. Nonetheless, IG-11 sacrifices himself to save the bunch, and then we get a hilarious moment when Greef is like, do the hand thing! And then Baby Yoda just waves back like, aw. Then we get the epic fight of them all in the show when Mando puts on the Rising Phoenix or the jetpack and latches onto the Moff Gideon's TIE fighter. Mando takes the tie down and goes off in search of the child's home, but then Gideon cuts his way out of the fighter with a freaking dark saber, and I was like, what the? So insane. So insane. The episode was pretty much the perfect episode. I mean, easily a 5 out of 5. So if I had to rank all the Mandalorian episodes, in case you're wondering, I'd rank them as followers in order of best to worst. 8, 6, 5, 3, 4, 7, 1, 2. If you're looking for a traditional Star Wars show, then this is probably not your bet. But if you're looking for something new in a familiar world that still feels like it, that's your bet. This show is your bet. It was a great first season with, yes, a few up and downs, but still a great season. I'd recommend it to any Star Wars fan, and I'm really looking forward to the answers that come with the next season.
Thank you, and best of luck to all of you.